Hi everyone, my name is Katrina Darayan, and the next topic that I will be going to discuss is about difficulty walking and moving. Before we proceed, let's first define what physical disability and mobility impairment is. So first, physical disability. It is a condition that substantially limits one or more basic physical activities in life. For example, walking, climbing stairs, reaching, carrying, or lifting. So these limitations hinder the person from performing tasks of daily living. Physical disabilities are highly individualized. The same diagnosis can affect students very differently. Next is the mobility impairment. So it describes any difficulty which limits functions of moving in any of the limbs or in the fine motor abilities. Mobility disabilities can stem from a wide range of causes and be permanent, intermittent, or temporary. So the most common permanent disabilities are musculoskeletal impairments such as partial or total paralysis, amputation, spinal injury, arthritis, muscular dystrophy, multiple sclerosis, cerebral palsy, and traumatic brain injury. Additionally, conditions such as respiratory and cardiac diseases can impair mobility due to fatigue and reduced stamina. There are types and difficulty of walking and moving. First is the cerebral palsy or CP. So it affects the largest group of students with orthopedic impairments in public school. It occurs when there is an injury to the brain before, during, and or after birth and result in poor motor coordination and unusual motor patterns. There are four main types of cerebral palsy. First is the spastic. This is the most common form of CP in when there is too much muscle tone or tightness. An individual with spastic CP generally has stiff or jerky movements in one's legs, arms, and your back. Second is the dikinetic. So it affects the entire body movement of an individual, and slow and uncontrollable body movements normally occur. The next is the ataxic. It involves poor coordination, balance, and perception. And the fourth is the mixed. It involves a combination of symptoms from the three types above. The next type is muscular dystrophy. So it occurs when voluntarily muscles progressively weaken and degenerate until they no longer function. The onset of muscular dystrophy can occur anytime between the ages of 1 to adulthood and is believed to be hereditary. And the third type is the spinal muscular atrophy. It is a disease that affects the spinal cord and may result in a progressive degeneration of the motor nerve cells. The severity runs from mild weakness to characterized similar to muscle dystrophy. Spinal muscular atrophy is characterized in general by fatigue and clumsiness. This cause is hereditary and the age of onset is either in infancy or a later time or between the ages of 2 to 70. The fourth type is the spinal cord injuries. So this occurs when the spinal cord is severely damaged or severed, usually resulting in partial or extensive paralysis. So spinal cord injuries are most commonly a result of an automobile and other vehicle accidents. So the characteristics and needs of individuals with spinal cord injuries are often similar to those with cerebral palsy. Injuries to the spinal cord cause different types of mobility impairments, depending on the areas of the spine affected. So quadriplegia refers to the loss of functions of arms, legs, and trunk. Students with quadriplegia have limited or no use of their arms and hands and often use motorized wheelchairs. Paraplegia refers to the loss of function to the lower extremities and the lower trunk. So students with paraplegia typically use a manual wheelchair and have full movements of arms and hands. The fifth type is the multiple sclerosis. It is a progressive disorder where the nerve impulses to the muscles are short-circuited by scar tissue. Initially made problems may occur, but as the attacks continue, a person may develop a multitude of problems. This includes severe visual impairment, speech disorder, loss of bowel and bladder control, and paralysis. So symptoms may regress as remission occurs. The sixth type is the rheumatoid arthritis. This causes general fatigue and stiffness and acting of joints. Students who are affected by this may have trouble being in one position for a length of time. And the seventh type is the degenerative disease. This is composed of a number of diseases which affect a person's motor development. For example, musculoskeletal, juvenile rheumatoid arthritis, and muscular dystrophy. The possible causes of these types of difficulty for moving and walking are: first, being born with acquiring problems with their bones, their joints, and or their muscles. The second problem is stemming from deformities, diseases, injuries, or surgeries, for example, loss of limb, bone, or muscle tissue. These possible signs and characteristics. The third is paralysis, unsteady gait, poor muscle control, loss of limb, etc. For example, causes limited mobility. The speech production and expressive language of the child is also the possible cause of this problem. Another is the difficulty with large motor skills and the fine motor skills. This also includes limited ability to perform daily living activities. There are also learning characteristics in difficulty of walking and moving. First, it is contingent upon impairment, its severity, and individual factors. Second, it can be different from person to person, so the impact can be mild to severe. Also, many students with orthopedic impairments have a cognitive, learning, perceptual, language, or sensory issues. These individuals with neuromotor impairments have a higher incidence of additional impairments. Another is some children may have significant limitations to their activity levels that require intensive medical and or educational assistance. There are also educational implications and instruction strategies in communication. First is talk to the students about their disability. You have to ask them discreetly about the impact of their disability and discuss them what might be helpful. Never ask or expect a student to discuss personal or medical details with you. Second, consider keeping in touch more regularly than you. Otherwise, might you monitor academic progress and ensure support requirements are being met. So you have to acknowledge that variable attendance might in some cases be due to their disability rather than lack of effort. The third one is, when conversing with a wheelchair user for more than a few minutes, sit down at the same time, level, or move back so that the student doesn't have to strain their neck. Do not touch or attempt to move someone's wheelchair without their permission. And the fourth one is, direct all communication towards the student, not their support worker, if they have one. And that's all for my discussion for today. Thank you for listening and have a good day.